Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is a packed Saturday in the art district. My boy had to park 3 miles away to get over here. I'm here with Adrienne Bragas. He is the regional manager of AO Las Vegas. He is an Alan Martin Award winner with American Income Life Insurance Company. This man, came across him on Instagram, and he's absolutely murdering the game. So I'm really just interested to see what this man is doing out here in Vegas and killing the game. So thank you, Adrienne, for coming on.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Hey, we're popping podcast cherries out here as well. What do you think of the art district? You said on the phone that you hadn't been down here before.
Yeah, I like it. I haven't like hung out over on the art district. You know, just walking. There's a lot of people out, just having fun, drinking.
Yeah. I see you with some fancy dinners. Like to drink a little bit.
Of course.
You from out here?
I was actually born and raised in Canada, Canadian.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
I lived in Calgary, Alberta until I moved to Vegas.
What brought you out here?
My parents moved here for work. So they kind of just moved my brother and I over here. I went to high school here. I went to university here. And then they kind of just went back. So it's just me.
Your fellow UNLV grad?
UNR.
Ooh.
Reno.
Rivals, baby. How was that experience?
It was good. Went there, got a finance degree, economics degree, you know, that kind of thing, dual degree, just kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do, you know. I'm trying to figure it out, going to university, finding the field, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say, you know, slanging some life insurance is kind of tangentially related to finance. The majority of the guests that I have on here, including myself, I went to UNLV for kinesiology, did not apply that in a practical sense anyway, or professional sense, more in a practical daily life. But the locals who move out here tend to find different opportunities that present themselves because of how diverse this city is. It's a really beautiful thing.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, going to university, you kind of discover what you like and don't like. So in a sense, you know, I can agree to going there to kind of grow up and kind of discover yourself. Most of the time, though, most people that get a degree, they're not using it right now, including myself. I started here in an accountant position for the MGM, for Caesars. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't my thing. I ended up leaving in like 3 months straight out of university, just kind of thinking like, well, I went 4 years to get this degree, and I don't even like the field. So you kind of just discover what you like and don't like. You find your niche, and then you kind of just go after it, you know, after that.
Yeah, college is more so now. Just it gives you a massive social network, right?
Yeah.
We mentioned right when you walked in here, you saw the paddles, and you know, you're a frat boy. Apparently, I don't know, allegedly, I think. And you know, regardless of what your opinion is on Greek life, it just opens up the door to so many opportunities. And you know, the cliche, you get to pay for your friends, but once you have that network, you don't have to pay for things later down the road, you know, entry to get into, I don't know, nightclubs, or to get into that network, to get that job, like that $500 a month dues, which is what we paid, pays out exponentially in returns down the road.
Right. At the end of the day, it really comes down to networking, like who you know, who you're connected with, you know, just overall connections in general. It is kind of what gets people into doors and opportunities that would have never been there in the first place. So I actually agree.
How'd you come across AO Las Vegas?
So initially, like I said, I kind of graduated UNR. I came here expecting like a 6-figure salary. That's kind of what they tell you.
It's what they sell you on, man. It's what they sell you on.
So graduating out of UNR, I was sending in all my applications. I was like, all right, I'm all set. I have a dual degree, finance and economics. I should get at least $80,000 to $100,000 salary. Coming out of UNR, they offered me like $50,000 at MGM, and it was like kind of like a slap in the face.
For what position?
For just a general accountant. I was doing like their books on the table games, slot machines. You know, And I didn't really know what to expect, graduating from university. I was like, I had a figure in mind, like 80,000 at least, like 100,000 at least. Because that's what they tell you. Like, go to high school, get a degree, earn six figures. And in reality, that's really not the case, because I graduated in 2014, and still to this day, I don't see anyone with like a salary that even gets close to 80, 100,000, unless you've been working your way up in that industry for like 20 years. I mean, when I was working at the MGM and Caesars, all of my coworkers were like 20, 30 years older than me, not even making that much money, and they've been there for 10, 15, 20 years. So that's kind of what put me in a spot where I was like, well, I don't want to spend 20 years here to not make that much more. When in my head, I wanted to make six figures right off of graduation. That's just not the case.
Yeah, that's corporate America has just ruined like the millennial dreams and Gen Z as well. I don't know if they put out a study a few days ago, and they were surveying Gen Z and seeing what they wanted to be as they grow up. And the number one position was YouTuber with like 35%. And number two was artist musician. And so it shows that half of the younger generation who's preceding us, it wants to have their voice heard. It's like we've been silenced because of what the older generations have done to us and just corporatized everything.
Exactly. I actually just saw that too. It was crazy because the number one occupation, it used to be like, I want to be a policeman, fireman. Now it's like YouTuber, vlogger. Because that's, at the end of the day, like even I have a 3-year-old daughter, and she watches kids all day. And the kids that she's watching, they're like multimillionaires, and that kind of thing, like even gaming, they make a lot of money playing video games. And that used to be something that like people laughed at, like making videos, playing video games, getting good at it. But people make six figures being good at a video game.
Yeah. The internet economy has opened up opportunity to pretty much any age. If you see now, like with influencers and people who have promise and a kind of a paparazzi that surrounds them, it's becoming younger and younger. It's like the gates have been lowered, right? Like if you go back even just 30 years, right, when like Michael Jackson was in his prime, he was young, he was popular, but he was one of maybe 10 people who were popular by the age of 21. It's like you had to find some sort of way in there. But now with the internet, you can just go and promote yourself and find anything, like that one kid who was reviewing toys, making $20 million doing it. It's a beautiful aspect of what the internet has given us.
Exactly. So it's just not how it used to be, like going to high school, graduating, and making six figures. You can make it literally from your phone. So, and you can network, like everyone is just on their phone, internet. So online making money, we were just talking about drop shipping the other day too. Like there's a million ways to get it now. It's not just with 2 degrees, 3, 4, even a master's degree. You kind of don't really need that anymore.
Yeah. College is becoming an antiquated system. I think the majority of people really see that. And the colleges are kind of like on their heels now. They don't know how to combat it. I literally just had a woman on recently, and she was talking about how in one of these colleges, I forget which one, they were offering influencer classes, and it was taught by like a 50-year-old middle-aged man. And it's just like they don't even know how to go about it. And like recently I was over at the UNLV Office of Economic Development. I was talking with this woman about cryptocurrency for a few hours, and I was talking about how like a lot of these colleges are offering blockchain classes, but it's like this kind of technology was built on the internet by us. So why would we even go down there and trust that kind of thing?
Right.
They don't know what to do. They don't know how to combat it.
Right. I mean, nowadays everyone learns everything from YouTube. Like you really don't need to attend like an accredited university if you really want to learn these skill sets on your own, or even just finding like a mentor or someone that has something that you want. Like success leaves clues, right? So if you follow and do everything that they do, you're going to get the results that they get. It doesn't need to be from like a university or a degree, to kind of get to that level.
Right.
So it's kind of just changed the whole game right now.
Are you familiar with Naval?
What is that?
Naval Ravikant? He's a popular Silicon Valley investor, and he's like kind of a business philosopher. There is something that he preaches on, which I resonate with a lot. It's called specific knowledge, where he talks about instead of being the best in the top 1% of one industry, if you're in the top 20% of 3 to 5 industries and you take that knowledge and you can combine it, that's where you find your niche. And with the internet, right, we have the Library of Alexandria in our hand. So there's so much more accessibility to dive into all these different industries, right? Like you can be a content creator and you can also be good at salesmanship. You could be good at networking, and then something super random like, I don't know, Pokemon cards, right? And if you combine all of this different specific knowledge, then you find something where then you can go present yourself on the internet and a community rallies behind you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, yeah, so everything has just changed in what people want to do. Like it used to be firefighter, policeman, veteran, but there's so many opportunities that open with just being on your phone. Instagram, for instance. This wouldn't be possible if we were networked through Instagram, or like my recruiting wouldn't be possible without Instagram or social media. So it's just changed now.
Yeah. So social media is key for recruitment. I had a gentleman on here, one of my good friends. His name is Stephen Cohen. He runs Sunder Energy out here.
I recently actually just connected with him too on Instagram. Yeah, I saw that he was on here recently.
Yeah, that's one of my good friends. He has a pretty crazy story. We went to college together. He was in API with me. He dropped out after sophomore year and started doing network marketing, and I used to give him shit for it. Like, yeah, you're in a Ponzi scheme and, pyramid scheme, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he proved everyone wrong. And that's why I had him on here again, because I was like, you're the only person I've ever met that proved me wrong. And I have a lot of, admiration and respect for that kind of thing. And it just goes to show you that, like, when you're following the herd, it's not always the right decision. You need to go out and understand where you believe is the right decision and where you're best fit and where you can kind of gravitate your skills towards.
No, absolutely. I mean, even going into the field that I'm in now with 2 degrees, you don't leave like a salary or accountant position to do something that's like commission only, building from the ground up, or even life insurance in general, right? People don't look at that as life insurance or even sales in general as like a respectable position. But sales is where you make money. We make sales. Sales is like an everyday thing that people do without even noticing it. So, I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to venture out from working at MGM, Caesars, The Win, because at the end of the day, if you have a salary position, they're always going to cap what you can make. And me looking around, my colleagues and coworkers are 40, 50, 60. That's just not where I saw myself staying for so long, making not too much more, because I have always wanted like the finer things in life, like the nice dinners and the designer brands and everything. And I just wanted to figure out how I can do it, whether it is in my field or not. But working for yourself, sales in general, like that's really how you make your visions into reality, is working for yourself, getting it on your own.
Yeah, you're doing a few different salesmanship, and you are 100% correct that we're always performing sales acts no matter what we're doing, right? Even this conversation, I had to sell you on the podcast to get you down here, right? Like even this conversation, we're still becoming familiar with each other, and we're kind of selling each other on what our beliefs are, and we're coming to a common area. That's what sales is, right? You have to find whatever that little commonality is, and then you build on top of it. But so when you're recruiting somebody, you're recruiting them on not only you as a leader, but whatever you're leading them to, right? Absolutely. In terms of salesmanship. Then when you're selling the product, you have to actually sell the product. You have to sell the future of what the benefits are. Like you have to sell them like how the positives outweigh the negatives. There's all kinds of different things that kind of circle just this one simple idea.
Absolutely, yeah. Sales at the end of the day is a transfer of emotion, right? With life insurance, you're kind of finding a middle ground, like you said. You're finding out what they care about, what their why is, and you're helping them protect it, right? So at the end of the day, I'm not really selling you anything. It's common sense at the end of the day. or even when we're recruiting, right? It's finding someone's why and helping them protect it or get to where they need to be, to kind of to protect their why or to figure out what they even care about at the end of the day. So that's what pushes people. And when we're recruiting and everything's intentional, right? So that's why I like to dig a little deeper. It's not about making money. It's like, what are you making money for? And that's what's going to get you out of bed every single day, because you're not going to be motivated every single day, but it's all about discipline, right? So for me, it's my 3-year-old daughter. I have another one on the way. So
Congrats.
I wake up every single day, even on days I don't want to do what I need to do for them. So it's just finding out what people's why is and holding people accountable. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And in 3 years, you've worked your way up pretty far to win the Alan Martin Award. First, tell me what the Alan Martin Award is. And then I'm really interested on just life insurance in general. It seems it's one of the oldest insurance policies that you could buy. It kind of has a negative stigma surrounding it for certain reasons. So just go a little bit into detail after you explain to me what the award is.
Yeah, the Alan Martin Award is an award for sales managers that, on average, my agents had the most production per agent in the entire company. So that means they made the most money on average. They had the highest production on a week-to-week basis on average in the entire company. So that comes back to kind of what I was saying, is finding out what your people's why is and keep that vision in mind. Without vision, people perish, right? So always keep that in mind. As a leader, you have to, one, lead from the front. There's really no other way to lead from the front. And then it's showing what's possible to your people and reminding them every single day why they're showing up, right? Because if they don't have that in mind, like I said, there's days where you're not going to want to work. There's probably days where you don't want to set up this or go to work. But if you just remind yourself of what this is all for, that's what's going to make you get out of bed every single day. I mean, even for myself, like I said. So with the Alan Mountain Award, it's really not about me. It's just about knowing what my people want and helping them get there.
Right. It is. It's about being an effective leader, because without leaders, as we've seen through the political space, the economic space, and even just your everyday daily life, right? Like even your influencers, you have to resonate with them somehow, whether it's your vision, whether it's the materials that they're flaunting and possessing, or just their characteristic and their
Absolutely.
Personality. So there's so many different aspects to it. So how do you translate your leadership into life insurance?
It's at the end, so life insurance in general with AIL, and it's a union-based company. So everything that we do, it's like a tool, like a vehicle to kind of get to what people want to be at, right? So with what we do, it's a 100% union-based company, and we're working off of request cards by appointment only too, all virtual through Zoom. So everything used to be in person. This time last year in March, with the pandemic, working virtual through Zoom actually increased my business and in the companies in general, like up 30-40%.
Wow.
Because if we wanted to work, a Central or specific or Eastern time zone, we had to fly there. This time last year, I was in North Carolina, mid-pandemic, and, trying to just do my thing. And right now through Zoom, we don't have to fly there anymore. You can just wake up 3 hours early and work East Coast, back to Central Time, Pacific, and even backwards in Hawaii. They're 2 hours behind. So it's more efficient that way, and that's why we grew 35-40%, because you can work through Zoom, right? You're not driving, you're not doing traveling anymore, and it's all by request basis too.
So, but the tactics have changed
Absolutely.
drastically then.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just getting comfortable on Zoom. A lot of families don't know how to, just that kind of thing. That's just what it is. Like, people do urgent care through Zoom now. Mm-hmm. So it's just what people need to get used to. It's like the new norm.
Yeah, telehealth has taken off pretty drastically. Also, remote coaching and remote fitness sessions. I've had a few different coaches of varying degrees come on and explain how their sales have taken off. It seems like most people's sales actually have as well. I had this woman, Kelsey Moreira, on here who was on Shark Tank. She sells cookie dough. It's like a cookie dough version of ice cream.
Right.
And she had a storefront out here, and it closed during the pandemic, and they switched completely to e-commerce, and she's up over 100% year to year because of that. So what COVID did is it kind of like kicked down a lot of these faulty social constructs that we thought we had to abide by, and now we don't. And now we get to be even more creative with the way that we present ourselves and run our business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, COVID really shows someone who they really are, what they can do, because that's a lot of time inside your house, kind of just thinking to yourself. So if COVID didn't bring a new version of yourself, it's just not you kind of thing, right? That's like a whole year trying to figure out what you want to do in life and how to get it. It gives people time away from like, working a regular 9-to-5 job to focus on things that work outside of that, right? People's passions, they work outside of their 9-to-5 job. So with COVID and everything happening, it was like a blessing and a curse for the same time for me, because that's when my business exploded. Because I used to just hire in the Las Vegas and Henderson area, but now I don't have any limits. I can hire anywhere. So, and it's all virtual through Zoom, and I'm very, very hands-on with everything. So it's just the best. It was like the perfect storm in a sense.
It is. So now that you're borderless, right? You can recruit from any state or even international.
Absolutely.
Does that change the framework of the company's structure? And like, cause you are a regional manager, but obviously it may not be just the Southwest or Nevada.
No, not necessarily. I mean, like you said, the borders have been knocked down. I can recruit anywhere. I can get my Canadian license, which, we're looking into, New Zealand. Because AIL is a union-based company that's not just in the U.S., but in Canada and in some parts in Europe. So with that being said, working virtually, I can work any time zone, recruit in any territory, and that's just what we've been doing. We've been kind of doing it territory by territory and just kind of really grow and explode while everyone's working through Zoom and transitioning. Like I said, it's like the new norm. It's like working virtually, making money from anywhere, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's why I'm so bullish on the future. I just see how well everybody's doing. And that's why last year I was saying 2020 was the best rebranding opportunity anybody's going to get. It was something that I tweeted and I've said hundreds of times on this podcast. And now a year later from saying that, I'm seeing so much growth from everyone, including myself. It's like you are stuck. Literally, we were quarantined for almost 3 months. It was like, what are you going to do at that time? Are you going to focus on Donald Trump spewing whatever he's talking about, or are you going to turn it off and try to figure out where society's progressing? Because if it's not clear at this point, everything's digital, right?
Absolutely.
The monetary system's becoming digital. Social media has a presence. Recruiting is going digital. Everything. I had a woman on here who runs a tax attorney business, and now they've gone digital as well. Like even your legal representation doesn't even have to live in the same city that you're in. Like it seems so absurd, but that's where we're going.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to adapt. Like you got to go with the times or you get left behind. 'Cause right now everyone's on their phone. Like there's still people who haven't came back or went back to their regular job before COVID happened. So there's literally nothing else for them to do besides working their hobbies or whatever they're passionate about, or being on Instagram scrolling through the feed, right? So that's why recruiting for us and even sales and in general has increased exponentially, because no one's doing anything but just watching what everyone else is doing. Mm-hmm. So we kind of took advantage of that. I hired a hiring and marketing team to kind of put together the vision that I had in mind, which is explosive growth. Because, at the end of the day, getting followers is addition, but gaining leaders is you're multiplying. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do all this year. Is it's really not about me this year. It's about my people this year. It's putting people in a position to make money, right? I was reading something this morning, like you can't really call yourself a boss if the people around you aren't eating with you, right? So putting people in a position to make money is what can label somebody as like a boss, right? So that's kind of what my thing this year, and my theme and mindset is. This is the year for my people. Is nothing's about me this year.
Correct. So you're focusing on qualitative growth rather
Absolutely.
than quantitative. You're really doubling down on the potential of the people that you're surrounding yourself with.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of live by the 80-20 rule from John Maxwell. It's spending 80% of your time with your top 20%. And since then, like, because that's just how we've been growing, because I just spend time with the right people. I always tell every single person in my agency, like, spending time with the wrong person is really, really expensive. Wasted time on someone that doesn't meet your standards, that doesn't show up, it gets really expensive. They need to meet you to where your standards are. You never need to lower it and kind of scoot to their level kind of thing.
Yeah.
So 80-20 rule from John Maxwell has been like what I live by.
So true. I definitely resonate with that principle. It comes up very often in the investing world as well, right? It's 20% of your trades creates 80% of your wealth, and that just carries over. It's the same with podcasting, right? 28% of my episodes are probably going to get 80% of my downloads based off of whoever goes there. But you do have to grow it at some point. It really comes down to qualitative analysis, focusing on who you surround yourself with, the books that you read, right? Numbers are just very arbitrary. We do get caught up in numbers when it comes to social media, right? We know that people inflate their accounts and bots and whatever, and I even have had people come on here who have 200,000 followers, and they're just like, I wish people would never pay attention to the numbers. I know it's a little bit of a privileged thing to say, but even some of my most downloaded episodes are people who have 1,000 followers or 500, but those 500 people who follow them are dedicated to them, like, just love everything they do and they support them. So we really do. You have to, Travis Chappell said this is a top business podcaster on the show. He says that you have to recruit one at a time. That's really how you do it. You really can't throw just like blanket shots out there, else nobody will eat it.
Absolutely. So it's really recruiting with intention and finding out, like I always go back to finding out what people's why is, because that's what's going to get them out of bed every single day on days they don't want to. And if it doesn't, that means their why is not big enough. So I always encourage people, whatever they're thinking, it's not big enough. If your vision and your goals that you write down, like, I'm a firm believer that anything you write down, and it's, that's kind of what you're going to get, right? It's putting it out there, and that's the why is what is going to get you where you want to be. You need to have a strong enough why. So I constantly preach that to every single person in my agency. So
now that you're recruiting digitally and the person's not directly in front of you, what are you looking for when you're recruiting and looking for somebody to join the team?
So I look for character. I kind of see what people want to do, what they envision. And as long as it aligns, or if someone who just wants growth, right? Working in like a salary or hourlied position, there's really no growth there. When I was working at the Wynn, they would give me like a 15-cent raise every year for cost of living, right? So that's really not growth. It's people who just want more, right? Like working a salary position is fine, but if you want more for yourself, you got to do it on your own. So people with just that mindset of just always wanting to grow and get to where they be and willing to do whatever it takes to get there, those are people that I want, right? So you have to have the same vision in mind so we can move as a unit, right? And it goes back to the 80-20 rule too. Like, I'll spend all of my time with my top 20 day in and day out to help them get to where they want to be, because they're always going to show up. Right. So if you want, like, regular is fine. Hourly position is fine. It's just not what I look for when I hire somebody. So I want same mindset, same growth mindset, and just willing to do whatever it takes, because that's who I was before I joined it. It's finding like a mentor and someone to guide you through everything that they've been through in a shortened blueprint.
And most of those salary positions, let's be honest, are going to get automated away.
Absolutely.
We already see it happening. This was the big pitch of Andrew Yang when he was running for president. A lot of the semi-drivers are getting automated away. They're even doing this on the Strip. The service bartenders are getting automated away. The front desk agents are getting automated away. So your creativity and your just curiosity and drive for something new is going to be very prevalent going on into the future. So you really have to have a quench for success, and not just these mundane routines of going through your 9-to-5 job and hoping for something different.
Yeah, it's a totally different mindset coming from a 9-to-5 or salary. No one's really telling you what to do. They're kind of just putting you in a position and for an opportunity to make the money that you want to make. Because like people have different whys, and it's not just like eating nice dinners or buying nice things. Like, it's what you can do for their own people, right? Like that's what money can do. And for someone to just do whatever it takes to get there, that's what we're looking for. It's just build around the right people. They say you're the average of the 5 people that you're around, but your income is also the average of the 5 people you're around too. So it took a lot of, kind of growth for me, even, as a person, because you can't really hang around the same people that you once hung out with, right? If they don't fit your future, like, you have no business spending time with them.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate byproduct, because some of those people that are near and dear to our heart, like our high school friends or even some of our college friends, we don't want to let them loose, right? Like, they were there through our journey and through our growth, but you have to separate yourself at a time. That was one of the reasons why I went on to move out of, I lived in fraternity house for 2.5 years. Then I lived in another pseudo fraternity house after we graduated with 5 people. But I realized that I was stagnating. Like, I would find myself sitting in the common room watching TV and not getting anything done. And so they all decided to move in together, the 4 of them, and continue on. And I went off onto my own to live on my own, because I realized that if I'm by myself, it's just like quarantine, right? Yeah. Before quarantine, you're going to decide where you need to go. Even if you're confused, I was reading books, and then eventually I found crypto and like all these different business adventures that I went on. So it's like, it's okay to cut people out of your life. You're not cutting them out forever. You're just separating yourself and putting yourself in a different environment to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in high school, like, you kind of just want to be everyone's friend, at the end of the day. But once you outgrow that, like, if they don't grow with you, like I said, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around. So, and that ties along with income, and I wholeheartedly believe that. So that's why you kind of have to make those decisions and not spend your time with the people that do the same thing year in and year out. Kind of like what you said, just cut ties. Like, it's nothing personal. It's just I'm growing at a pace, and it's okay to leave people behind or outgrow them. It's just all about vision. So if they don't fit that, they don't fit your future, there's no reason for you to spend your time with them.
Yeah, 100% agree. Tell me a little bit more actually just about life insurance. So what are the positives of having life insurance, and like why should I buy it?
So life insurance in general is what's needed. Death is inevitable, right? We insure our phones, our cars, but why wouldn't someone insure their life when they're guaranteed to pass away, right? And leaving not just, you can build generational wealth with life insurance, with whether you have dependents or not. It's net worth, it's an asset, it's your estate. So putting money into life insurance that you're guaranteeing a set face amount, it just makes sense, right? Especially if you're like a single dad or a single mother, if you have kids. Even if you don't have any of that, it's still building an estate for you, right? Because you're going to build a family in general. And when you lock in life insurance at a young rate, you lock that in forever, right? It's just planning it out. It's builds better than a savings account. It's 4.5% compound interest, where a savings account's like 0.00.
So bad. So bad.
So you're better off putting your money into something that guarantees you an estate and also builds compoundedly for you.
Okay.
It's kind of like a no-brainer. Like I said, people insure their phones, their jewelry, like their house, and sometimes some people don't even get into a car accident. They don't claim anything, but you're guaranteed to pass away. So life insurance in general is a $1 trillion industry because it's just needed, right? How many times do you see like a GoFundMe or like a car wash or something when someone passes away to pay for a funeral? A funeral is like $30,000. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize that the funerals, they're a business first, right? They need all the money on the spot. And when someone's in that state of like mourning, that's where they milk you because you're willing to spend whatever it takes to kind of get whatever needs to be done. So if you don't have life insurance or anything set up, your family has to take care of that. The funerals want the payment that day.
So how much does an average life insurance policy pay out?
It really just depends what they qualify for. So depending on age and whatever they want, you kind of find like like when you connect with the family, you find out the whole picture. They have 4 kids, their mortgage has $200,000 left, and you just fill in those gaps that, God forbid, if the husband passes away tomorrow and the wife's to stay at home with 3 kids, they're, SOL. But with everything in place, that fills in the gaps. Pays the house off, income protection on there, the kids are all set. It just makes sure that if they die too soon, their family's set. That's what it's all about.
Okay. And what would you say is the average age of somebody who purchases life insurance?
It really varies. I mean, the younger the better. I would say like anywhere from like 18 all the way up until 65. It's never too late or too early to get life insurance. The sooner the better. You lock in that rate, you keep it forever. Someone in their 60s can pay double, triple, quadruple what someone pays in their 20s for a lower face amount, right? Because at the end of the day, they kind of base it off of your health, age, and habits. So the younger the better. You lock it in, you keep it, you add on to it, builds you an estate, guarantees assets for you, and it builds cash value,
right.
So
do you know the average multiple from, I guess, the money that you've put into the payout? So let's say you're paying $10 a month for, I don't know, 30 years, right? And you end up putting in, I don't know, I'm just gonna make this number up, $50,000 over that lifetime. Like what is the difference from the total amount that you've paid to what the actual insurance policy pays out?
So if you pay in, we'll say you pay like $100 for like $250,000 of like whole life insurance. You're paying from now till you pass away, right? But it builds you cash value and everything like that. And then it builds on top of the face value at the same time. So you're guaranteed, $200,000 in whole life insurance to your family when you pass on top of the cash value built. And then even then some people use the cash value to pay for their premium policy. So the policy starts working for them instead.
Interesting.
And you keep the face amount.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the cash value is set up like an emergency fund too, right? Because you kind of take it out if it's needed, but at the end of the day, you still keep the face amount, and that's really what life insurance is for. It's to cover the debts and assets when you pass away, not only for yourself but for the people that you leave behind.
So you can write off the policy to somebody that's not your direct family?
Yeah, absolutely.
To like a friend or something like that, loved one, whoever it is.
Absolutely, yeah. You set up whoever beneficiary you need it to be, and they'll take care of everything that they need. So.
And is there a penalty for pulling money out early?
No, absolutely not. So it's tax free too, and it's kind of just the premiums that you've already been paying is just building you cash value on top of your face amount.
Okay, interesting. And life insurance is not something that's going to go away. How do you see this industry evolving, at least from the 3 years that you've been in it?
Unless we find a way to live forever, life insurance isn't going away. It's a $1 trillion industry in the same regard. And I think the stigma of life insurance is, I don't know what it is, but it comes off super salesy. but it's not. It's necessary, like for every single family, whether you have dependents or not. And it just has like, it used to have like a weird name. It was like door-to-door sales at first,
yeah.
you know. But with AIL, we're 100% union-based company, so we're not going door to door or we're selling to friends and family. We're not like that dude at the family barbecue that pulls you aside and tries to sell you something. This is on request basis, by appointment only. And these union members pay their dues to get access for us to even contact them. Everything we receive is based off of their request. So that was the main difference in me even joining this industry. Is door to door and sales in general is hard work. Even for like the door to door salesmen or even solar panel, you know, they're kind of just they're hustlers.
It's a grind.
Yeah, it's definitely a grind. But if you cut that part out and you're just getting requests and you're just contacting them, letting them know that you received it, we work by appointment only. We're setting it up through Zoom now, so we don't have to physically see you, obviously for your safety and ours. Like, you know, the opportunity is limitless. Mm-hmm. Like, you can work East Coast at 6 a.m. and work till midnight in Hawaii.
Right. I could see how the migration to digital, I guess it's sort of like an e-commerce kind of business. Yeah. It's less confrontational. Like, I never personally did door-to-door sales, but I can only imagine like when you're walking up to somebody's door and they've had a bad day, or I don't know, they're a Republican and you're wearing blue or red or whatever it is, and like you just catch them on the bad day. It, like that conversation could get spicy, or maybe even like an endangerment to you or them.
Even in this day and age with COVID and the pandemic, like knocking on someone's door is not normal anymore. Mm-hmm. People aren't just out there doing that anymore because of everything going on. So going virtual, working 100% through Zoom and mobile is just how the world is transitioning in. So you kind of have to get with the times and adjust as everything is adjusting. Even in your business or even like social media, like right on Instagram, I was just looking, like Reels is like the main thing right now. Mm-hmm. It's not pictures anymore. People want to see videos, and the main button on Instagram is a Reel button now instead of posting a picture, because that's where times are going. So if you're not getting with the times, posting videos and Reels, and you're still posting pictures, Instagram's not going to promote it. They're basically telling you like that's what they're promoting now is Reels. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to pay attention to everything that's transitioning and kind of let go of old habits and transition to what's relevant.
Yeah, it's in this blooming economy, it's important to have a job that you can take with you, right? Like as a podcaster, you could record anywhere. Selling life insurance, if it's remote, you can sell anywhere.
Absolutely.
The world is increasingly becoming globalized and borderless, so it is really important to see. In terms of your career, your 3-year career, do you think, is this just a vehicle for you to do something later in life? Do you see yourself staying with this company and selling life insurance for the rest of your career?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of my end goal here, is building renewals with the company and growing with leaders and generating passive income enough to where I don't physically have to sell life insurance anymore. It's kind of scaling a business where you can cookie cutter, you know, copy and duplicate it and put people in positions to, one, run their own team and agency and sell life insurance. And in that field, you get passive income and overrides, mm-hmm. and renewals and residual income from anything that anyone does in your agency. So when you kind of get to that spot where you don't have to sell life insurance anymore and you kind of just, you know, teach people and scale a business and duplicate, you know, that's where the real money comes from. You're not really making money until you're doing it without working.
Right. Yeah. You always want to make your money work for you, right?
Absolutely.
That's the common investor goal.
Absolutely. So I'm always open to throwing money back into my business and my agency for growth. Because at the end of the day, like, yes, I can do other investments, but if I invest back into my agency, week in and week out and kind of watch the results grow, that's where my focus is building with the right people, spending whatever I need to do to get the growth that I want, and then everything else is passive.
Do you use Vegas as a tool in the recruiting aspect of the business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Vegas, living in Vegas and kind of visiting here is two totally different things. Everyone always thinks that we live on the strip, that we gamble 24/7, but Vegas I kind of just wanted to run the whole financial services field with Vegas as like my main, home base of where I build out of. Even though we do recruit state to state now, but Vegas in general just kind of just promotes itself for you. Like, you work at a Las Vegas office from Florida or like California, that kind of thing. So
yeah, the lure of Vegas is so unique. How often do you meet somebody and they say, "Oh, where are you from?" or "Where do you live?" and they say Vegas, and everyone's eyes just light up. And they're like, "What?"
Exactly. Yeah. So like Vegas it's everything from all over the place in one 8-mile radius on the strip, right? So and we get tourists every single day coming from all over the place. Like Vegas is like the destination to be, not just with like gambling, but it's like the lifestyle and food and restaurant. It's like the whole industry. It kind of has everything that you need, and the city doesn't sleep. So
Vegas really represents freedom. You can come here and be whoever you want. You can network your way to the top if you want. If you want to network your way to the top of a casino, or you can network your way into a position that you didn't even know existed, right? I'm sure you didn't have life insurance on your mind. I'm sure you probably met somebody who sold you on the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So life insurance, I mean, I thought I was going to be an accountant forever, but life insurance, no one really knows that there's a lot of money to be made in the industry. It's not like what it used to be. Like, that weird stigma of like door to door, or even people labeling it as an MLM. Like, this is a legit $1 trillion industry. So there's money to be made with everybody.
Mm-hmm. What skills would you say you've derived from your 3-year experience selling life insurance?
Accountability. People hold you accountable when you're essentially responsible for their success and growth. So like being accountable for the good and the bad is what it's all about. It makes you grow as a person, as a leader. It's like accepting the results, whether they're good or bad, and kind of adjusting. I'm always willing to adjust and kind of look at numbers on a weekly basis, quarterly basis. What went wrong? What did I do wrong? I always look at what I did wrong first. I never really point, kind of don't really point fingers. It's really, everything is on me. That's how I think about it.
That's how a leader really should be. Like you said in the beginning of this conversation, you have to lead from the front. You have to lead by example. I really admired Tony Hsieh, R.I.P., because he used to have his office in the middle of the floor with everybody else.
Yeah.
Like the days of having your executive or CEO at the top of the building, of like a 60-story building, and having this like, I don't know, this ambiance of like this great leader that you can't live without. Like, that's not how leaders are. At least that's not how leaders are evolving, right? You see now if you're running a business or you're an entrepreneur or whatever, you have to be on social media. You have to put yourself out there. You have to explain your mission and show what you're doing, right? Like Elon Musk lives and dies by Twitter. He's on there, but he's open. He takes conversations, does podcasts. He doesn't hide behind the scenes of whatever masquerade that the world wants to present him as. The leaders are like, hey, here I am, and come have a conversation with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Leaders need to be vulnerable themselves. They people kind of have this vision of like their leader needs to be perfect and they can do no wrong, but it actually works better when you see your mentor, your leader failing. It makes them human. It relates to you more because you're like, well, if they have their bad days too. And that's just the reality of it. Like, not every day is perfect as a leader. That's just not realistic. So being vulnerable as a leader like showing your team and your people that you get told no sometimes too, that actually helps them. Like if they just watched me sell every single family every single time, they're not really going to learn anything. They're just going to be like, well, he's been in the industry, he knows everything, and you know, that's just how it goes. But if you get told no in front of your people, they actually learn more from that. Yeah. It's just all about being vulnerable, being honest, you know, like no one's perfect.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up vulnerability. It's something that I truly do believe in. Literally episode 0 of the podcast, I talked about how I'm not perfect, but I have this vision, and so I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys. And when you're vulnerable with either your team or the community who's rallying behind you, they get to grow with you.
Absolutely.
That's the most special part, right? Like if you do make it to the top or in some prestige from some external community, they get to say that they were there with you, right? And then that's like an intimate relationship that not many people get to hold with people. And scarcity has shown through Bitcoin, through art, through anything. Scarcity is what drives value, right? Yep. If there's a limited amount of whatever it is, whether it's your love, your intimate connection, the money, like that's what people really see value in.
Yeah. Everyone likes to see the process more than the end result. And more importantly, they like to be a part of that, you know, in the same regard. So very, very important. Like vulnerability is what a leader needs to do. Like you need to show your people that you're not perfect. You started where they are at right now. You felt everything that they feel right now. So it's important to have like a mentor. And because like being a manager is not really the term anymore. It's like that's your mentor. That's who's going to guide you through what you need to do to be successful in any industry, right? People buy into who you are as a person more than what you're actually doing, right? So you just have to implement the vision that you have for yourself, and the people will just follow, right? So it doesn't have to be life insurance. I could be selling popsicles, and if they like me as a person, they follow and respect me as a person, my vision with everything, they're gonna follow suit and kind of like you said, grow with me, grow as a team, grow as one, grow as a unit. So it's really not about what you do. It's kind of just the vision. People need to have like an end result of what they're going to, or they're just going to go through the motion. And that's what a 9-to-5 or a salary position is. There is no end result. It's just you do what you do until you retire.
Yeah, we really have to familiarize the world with nonlinear returns, right? The example that I use is, look at Joe Rogan. He's putting in the same amount of time that he did 10 years ago when he started the podcast, but now he's getting paid $100 million for it. The nonlinear return. He gave up a lot in the beginning, wasn't getting paid, put in a lot of mental energy into it to figure out and learn and to perfect his skills. And then down the road, he held off for 12 years or however long and gets paid this big ass contract for it.
Absolutely. People need to realize like getting to where you want to be financially doesn't happen overnight. It'll take you 5-10 years to be an overnight success, and people need to fall in love with the process of doing that. Like in general, the consensus is if I join something like what I'm doing or what you're doing, they want to be rich the next day. And that's not realistic anywhere, right? They need to fall in love with the process. It's growing pains, but following a mentor that condensed everything with their experience into a blueprint, you know, you can't really get that anywhere from anything else. So I think people do need a mentor, someone that they follow and take guidance from, because they've already done it. So like I always say, success leaves clues. And if you do exactly what who you're looking up to does and follow what they do, you're going to get the same results.
It is very, very true. Success leads the results, and the power of compounding, right? I see a lot of influencers and thought leaders have really been kind of hammering compounding interests, because it's not just a financial component. It's also your skills and charismatic endeavors as well. To talk about Joe Rogan again, he was also a comedian for 20 years before I started the podcast. He was also on TV. So it was like 40 years of compounding results and effort to get where you want, right? And that's the same with entrepreneurs, and that's the same with what Naval talks about, specific knowledge, right? If you're in the top 20% of 3 to 5 different industries, that's compounding, right? You've been putting in different time and different efforts to all of these different areas that eventually you become that overnight success. And that's how the world views it as overnight success. But they weren't in your mind. They weren't the days that you wake up out of bed and you feel like you're going to make it and you're going to take over the world. And then just 3 hours later, you're like, I don't know why I'm doing this. This makes completely no sense.
Exactly. And that comes back to sometimes you have to step back and kind of realize what this is really for. Showing in, day out, week in, week out. And that's why people need to know their whys. And because you're not, like I said, you're not going to be wanting to work every single day, but your why is what's going to get you out of bed every single morning.
That is facts. Just the way as we started with whys, we'll end with the whys.
And at the end of the day too, it's mindset too. So it's believing in yourself that no matter what industry you're in, you're going to make it work no matter what. That's kind of what my mindset was thinking into leaving my salaried position with 2 degrees. Like I was like, I'm going to put my all into this because the numbers look great. They look unrealistic, but they look really good. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just go right back to where I was. I'll kind of figure it out, start from day one. But when the results and you're looking at the numbers from like who you're learning from, it kind of just, like I said, if you do the same thing that they do, you get the same results. You just need to have that end goal in mind, or not even an end goal in mind, just a vision, because your vision is going to change. Whether some people make goals for the whole year and they can hit it in 1 month. So you always have to say what's next, or you're going to stay stagnant, kind of get comfortable.
That is facts.
It's always what's next.
I have one final question for you. What does Las Vegas mean to you?
Las Vegas is kind of a lifestyle to me. It's the finer things in life, which is what I enjoy. I enjoy a finer, lifestyle of living. I like the industry at the nightlife. I like the fancy dinners. I like the shopping. That's what Las Vegas is to me. It's like an upscale lifestyle that's what I work for. I want to provide a lifestyle for not just myself, but like the family and the people around me. Because at the end of the day, if you're leading a team of people and you're the only one eating, that's not really what this is about. So that's like my thing this year is all about my people. Everyone around me needs to win this year with me. And at the end of the day, I will never have to worry about myself.
Straight and to the point. Where do I send all of the listeners and viewers to follow you or get involved with anything?
Yeah, so aolasvegas.ab is my agency page. That's where you guys can reach out. If you're listening to this and you just want more, we have what you need. We have the tools, we have the resources, we have the team and mentorship to get you where you need to be.
Facts, straight to the point. Follow my man. If you're interested, there's a lot of people that are looking for new jobs out there. The world has kind of been shaken and everyone's rattled. So even just hear them out and listen to the potential of where you can be in a few years. Thank you, Adrienne, for coming on. I appreciate you for doing this with me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening. We will catch you next time.